Hello and welcome to the Messages and Methods Livecast Life 2.0 livestream podcast hosted by Encore entrepreneurs, Shelley, Carney and Toby Younis. We inspire excitement for content creation and marketing your brand and business while answering all your technology and digital marketing questions. Join us as we interview experts who share their knowledge and experience to provide actionable tips to land more clients, nurture leads, and position yourself as an expert in your industry. Chat with Shelley and Toby every Wednesday on YouTube or Facebook.
Hello and welcome to Messages and Methods. I'm your host, Shelley Carney.
And I'm Shelley's co-host, Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us today.
You betcha. Today we're going to be talking about having hair on your shoulder. You're going to be talking about LinkedIn and how we can use LinkedIn in our digital marketing efforts. But first, we're going to tell you about something new that we just signed up for. It's called Podpage. And on Podpage, we can share all of our content in one place. So this shares our podcast with you, our Messages and Methods podcast, and all the information that you might want to know, where to find us, what we're about. And as you can see, we have a little banner at the top that talks about our book. We have the screen that tells you how to get to episodes, videos, and sign up as a guest. Even you can even sign up as a guest on our show using this.
I'm going to talk about that. So to get to the new website with all our content, go to livecast.life. That's livecast.life, and it is in the scroll down below. In addition to that, if you've ever thought about becoming a guest on our program, you can go to this button right here, register as a guest. I've already opened that page. It's livecast.life/guests/intake. And it's the new and kind of focal point for registering as a guest. And it has everything that we need to know about you becoming a guest on our show. So we're very grateful to Podpage to have put this new application together, because it makes it so easy for us to take a look, see all our content in one specific location. Last but not least, I do want to remind you that our new book is available on Amazon. It's called Women in Podcasting, and it's based on the interviews that Shelley and I conducted. I'm going to say Shelley conducted the interviews. I engineered the interviews at the She Podcast Live 2021 in Scottsdale.
Oh, yes, in Scottsdale,
Arizona. And you can get there by going to books.agkmedia.studio. And that too is listed in the scroll down below. You can buy it in either, if you click on it, you can buy it either in how can you tell Windows did an update last night?
You could buy it as a Kindle or a paperback.
A paperback.
If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free.
Okay. So that's all I have for you. I'm going to turn it back over to Shelley. Let me close these windows, and we're going to get our guest in on the program. And there we are. I like this layout better.
All right. Today's guest is Daniel Alfon. Is that correct?
Yes, Shelley. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be part of the Messages and Methods live stream.
Thank you for being here. So Daniel, we met on Podmatch. Podmatch is a place where people can sign up to be a guest or a host or both for podcasting. And Daniel reached out to be on our show, and we were very excited to have him because he's a LinkedIn expert, and we felt he would be a perfect addition to our series on digital marketing. So thank you, Daniel, for being here. And why don't you tell us about yourself and your business?
Thank you very much, Shelley. I signed up to LinkedIn early in 2004, and I was looking for a playbook, and I couldn't find anything. So like other people, I built my own playbook, and it's been a bumpy ride, but LinkedIn has grown by leaps and bounds, and it's a very powerful system that's underutilized by many people who are considering live streaming, podcasting, or writing a book.
So we should mention Daniel lives in Israel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what city? I should have asked, but I didn't.
A small community just outside of Tel Aviv. It's called Gan Yavne.
Very nice. And the other thing I forgot to ask is, what time is it where you are right now?
It's the best part of my day, speaking with you. But it's around 10 p.m.
Oh, well, that's not so bad. I didn't look at the time differences when we asked you to join us, and I should have. So you have seen some of the shows that we've already done with other guests, and you know that the primary topic is digital marketing in 2022, but we want to cover as many facets of digital marketing as we possibly can, and that's why the invitation to you as an expert in LinkedIn is so important. And I'm going to let our audience know that we've asked Daniel to answer our questions in the context of his area of expertise, because we, like Daniel, believed LinkedIn is a very important part of where you want to be in terms of digital marketing, especially if you're a small or a home-based business or a startup entrepreneur. You need to know how to use LinkedIn in terms of your digital marketing. So as I said, we've asked Daniel to answer these generic questions in the context of LinkedIn. And I'm sure he has other things to add as well because of the amount of experience that he has. So Daniel, let's start with the first question. What did you learn about digital marketing in the last 12 months?
Thank you, Toby. I would say this. In general terms, I have a friend who moves from country to country, homeschooling his child and working in China or Europe for 8 months, and he was used to providing services from home. But the rest of us have found it challenging to start working from home and no longer see people in the water cooler or coffee machine.
Uh-huh.
It has provided us with a lot of opportunities once we understood that COVID is, I don't want to say here to stay, but it's not just a passing phase. In terms of LinkedIn, the pace of the changes has increased. More and more people, more and more entrepreneurs had the time to use LinkedIn because commuting was disappearing or at least significantly reduced. And the average time users have logged into LinkedIn has increased. So more people join the platform. Since you hit the live session, 100 or 200 people have joined. Every second, 2 people sign up.
That's an amazing number when you think about it. So I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier. You said that you had been and this is not in the line of question, I'll turn it over to Shelley in just a minute. You said you had been a LinkedIn subscriber since 2004. I had no idea it went back that far. I mean, I was familiar with the technology. How have you seen it change in that period of time?
There have been many changes, but the essence, I think, is pretty similar to when it was launched. It's a conservative platform. It's traditional. It's slow, and above all, it's professional.
Uh-huh.
So our listeners here may have a number of topics they're interested in. The first bit of advice I could suggest is to focus on one professional activity they would like to highlight.
All right. That's good advice. Shelley, back to you.
All right. Using your experience of the past, let's say 16, 17 years using LinkedIn and doing this digital marketing yourself, how do you feel that digital marketing for entrepreneurs and small business owners will change in the next 12 months?
That's a powerful question. I think that in terms of podcasting is very big, and live streaming is very big. And if I might say that good podcasts are going to stay and are here to stay, but many people who have not done this seriously will at one point stop doing this. And if you are serious about it, then think about the long term and building your podcast and understanding the way you'd like to grow your audience and be systematic about it is an advice that's good, perhaps both for podcasters and live streamers and also for LinkedIn. Consistency is key.
So I'll get on to my other question, but Shelley has been very good about making blog post content entries into her LinkedIn, and she's gotten a lot of response. I mean, a lot of people are now subscribing. How many did you say?
260 some odd.
Yeah, but that's better than 0 versus where I'm at.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a comparison. So she uses a lot of that, a lot of the content that we have created in other places and adds it to LinkedIn and is getting a response to it. So I think what I like about LinkedIn the most is that although it's probably categorized as a social media platform, it doesn't behave like some of the other social media platforms. You don't hear a lot of criticism of LinkedIn like you do with other social media platforms. Why? What do you think that is? What's that about? Why don't we see that common social media criticism for LinkedIn?
A lot of the other social media platforms we use on a daily basis are based on our activity in that platform. So if you log into Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, then you're supposed to be active. On LinkedIn, you're not supposed to be very active. The top action LinkedIn users perform is visiting other people's profiles. So you need to build a decent profile, but you don't have to share yourself to death. It's not interesting, and most people will simply become blind to this.
That does make it very different. So what do you see as the most prevalent obstacle to digital marketing success in the coming year?
A lot of SMB owners and entrepreneurs, because they don't have a lot of time, are looking for shortcuts and fail to have a system. I believe in systems. Even if the system is imperfect, it makes it easier for us in the long term to grow our business, to get more listeners, to get more revenues. And many excellent people I know are jumping from one tactic to another, and they never stay enough or never play with that enough to actually see the results. Again, the long term, it is stronger and more captivating than trying to just move to another fad for a week and then discover something else.
Shelley?
So to tell us a little bit more about the people you work with and what you do for them, what should a prospective client have in place in their business before you may best help them with digital marketing?
Thank you very much, Shelley. The only thing that will help us is knowing who their ideal client is. In other words, some of the people we try to help are too early in their entrepreneurial journey to even understand who they want to serve. And to those people, I would say, forget about LinkedIn and try to focus, try to speak with people, try to experiment until you have a niche and you decide that's what I want to do. And that minute, then you can leverage LinkedIn in a much stronger way than trying to do something when you're not clear about your goal. If you are able to easily identify your ideal client, everything else is feasible, easy, and systematic. And that would be the only obstacle preventing someone from working with me or any other service provider.
Yeah, that's very true. So we're very much about storytelling. We like telling our own stories. We like hearing our clients' stories. So do us a favor and tell us a story about a recent learning experience you had when dealing with one of your clients.
Cool. I had a Zoom call with the owners and the staff of a company called Zago. They're manufacturers based out of Edison, New Jersey. And they played with LinkedIn and they were looking for the engineers who would be speccing the RFPs and the contracts for them in aviation, in medical device, and the military. And when they discovered that within minutes they could find prospects on LinkedIn, and by the next time they were able to reach out to them, it was sort of magical. It was almost like, visiting a candy store with your kid for the first time. It was almost overwhelming, and it was fun for me to see, like you guide someone who's just had the first live stream experience. You see their eyes shine. It makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it does. We love that part of it when one of our clients does their first live stream and it was painless, and they got to express themselves, and they see the end result, and they can share it with their business associates, their family and friends. So you're right. It's very exciting for us to see clients, realize that they've done something different and important to them. Shelley?
How does a website affect marketing success, and how can you optimize a website to achieve that success?
Cool. In the long term, I think website is essential for listeners here. There is no excuse for them not to create a website. And as much as I like LinkedIn, they don't own LinkedIn. We don't own LinkedIn. And the best use of LinkedIn would be either to reflect what we put on our website. So livecast.live, the content there should be reflected on LinkedIn, on your presence, on your profile, and on your page. If you're building a website and you'll only have your website, in 6 months, then you may consider LinkedIn like another website of yours. It doesn't have to be the primary website, but another very important thing I'd like to suggest is that entrepreneurs who are thinking about publishing a book or start live streaming or podcasting should build their profile as a website on LinkedIn and not as a CV. Because they're not looking for a job. So it doesn't make sense just to say I was working for First National Bank till that year. Try to tell the story about yourself and who you serve in your new life, in the live streaming episode of your life, and that will make it a lot more interesting. The challenge, or what you should consider, is building a converting profile.
I'm embarrassed to say that if you want to see an example of what Daniel is talking about, take a look at Shelley's profile on Instagram, and then take a look at
LinkedIn.
I'm sorry, at LinkedIn. I keep saying Instagram. Shelley's profile on LinkedIn, and then my profile on LinkedIn, and you'll see the difference because of the great job that she's done in turning it into her kind of your personal website.
But you're just kind of more a hobby kind of guy.
Yeah, I am kind of guy. Okay, Daniel, since we've talked a little bit about social media, and your focus, as we know, is on LinkedIn, but generally speaking, how does social media figure into your total marketing success?
Because people are on social, you need to have a social media strategy. And I don't believe you need to create a different personality for the sake of social media. It doesn't make sense, because some of the people who are going to watch whatever you do on LinkedIn or Instagram or any other system know you from real life. They've spoken with you. They've worked with you. They studied with you. And just understanding the way you'd like, there's maybe 3 tests. One test is that you should feel good about your social media activities. The second test is, will your network be surprised, or will they nod and say, yes, that's the way Shelley and Toby are in real life? And the third test, and maybe the one that's the harshest, is the clientele you'd like to attract. When they check you out on social, will they say, how do I get these people? I need to speak with them. They know what I'm talking about. And that is the exact time I'm thinking about creating the next chapter for me. How do I reach out to them as fast as possible? So first yourself, then your network, and lastly, people you'd like to serve who have never heard about you.
So before I turn it back over to Shelley, for those of you that are in chat, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, if you have any
Or
questions
LinkedIn.
or LinkedIn, post them to the chat room. Why do I have to keep reminding myself of that? I shouldn't have to remind myself.
Because you don't use it very much, and
Yeah,
I do.
So if you have any questions, there's a chat box on the page that you're on. Ask your questions in there. And before Daniel leaves today, we'll make sure we get those questions to him. All right? Shelley, back to you.
How can we use email marketing most effectively, and how can we tie that into what we're doing on LinkedIn?
It's an excellent question, and I wish I heard that question a decade ago. Because I was late into email marketing. I started building a list maybe 2 years ago. And the best piece of advice I could give to our audience here is simply start as soon as possible. You can start with a quarterly email or a monthly email. Don't push yourself too hard. Don't try to send, a number of emails a week. It doesn't make sense. But if you can consistently have one email a quarter or one email a month, you will be able to grow your list. In another episode, I heard it, you discussed the possibility of having a LinkedIn newsletter. That's fine. But again, your own website and the email list that you will own in the long term are more important than social and LinkedIn. Because in my book, LinkedIn should serve you rather than you serving LinkedIn.
And do you have a suggestion for how to get your LinkedIn contacts onto your email list?
Content is very big on LinkedIn. I would say that content is the gasoline, the best marketing elements that are likely to grow your business. And within the context of content, I would advise our listeners here to repurpose or produce educational content. Okay, there's one part that's top of the funnel and getting more people discover what it is that you do. And there's the sale process or prospecting. I don't think LinkedIn is good for the transaction. But if you use it systematically, LinkedIn can make a lot more people curious about you, go check you out, go to livecast.live, or download the client attraction checklist, or do anything that is likelier to convert them and make them a long-term client of yours.
So let's keep up that line of conversation. In what ways are content creation and distribution a major factor of success in digital marketing?
I think it's key, Toby, because content is, back in the day, the salespeople were, you were meeting salespeople because you were dependent on them to know what's happening outside in real life, like 20 years ago. But right now, you are able to easily make 80% of your searching process before ever speaking to the company you chose. And that makes the client a lot more educated. And content is the best, just asking ourselves, identifying our ideal prospect, and then asking ourselves or interviewing them, what makes them tick? What bothers them? And can we write or produce or stream content around it, educational content that will make them join our tribe because they got value from it. And when they get value from it, you don't have to sell, they simply buy.
You already know, as a result of you looking at our work, that we're very big fans of content creation and distribution. So we agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Back to you, Shelley.
Is there, let's just expand that question a little bit more. Is there a particular type of content or posting that you would recommend when it comes to LinkedIn?
Excellent. Let me just throw a number of options, and it should tie with your marketing objectives, of course. You can create content that LinkedIn calls LinkedIn articles. That would be best for long form content that has a long shelf life. Or even in some cases, evergreen content could be repurposed as LinkedIn articles. And why should you think about LinkedIn articles? Because when you share a link on social media and on LinkedIn in particular, LinkedIn doesn't want people to leave that platform. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn would like people to stay within that platform. So when you share a LinkedIn article, LinkedIn is likelier to show it to more connection of yours simply because it knows they will not leave LinkedIn. They will stay within the gated area of LinkedIn. Other than articles and newsletter we already discussed, a LinkedIn live event such as this could be excellent for live streamers because it would be on LinkedIn. It could be it could help you be discovered by people who are on LinkedIn. You could also try to leverage LinkedIn polls. It's tricky, but if you can think of a question that will make your ideal client or ideal prospect feel they need to know the answer, it could be a great way to attract people to you because you cannot see the answers to the poll unless you vote. So the question should be intriguing, and you should try to phrase a question where your audience feels really compelled to go and see whether most people think like them or not. LinkedIn events is another area you could leverage. Virtual conferences you would leverage through LinkedIn, and even videos, live videos, and even a cover video on your profile. It's free to use. It's very simple. It could be a 20-second video saying we're publishing women in podcasting. If you'd like to get your copy, just check down below and get your copy from Amazon. Everything like your profile, the articles, the newsletter, LinkedIn Live, polls, events, panel P, everything could be part of your LinkedIn strategy.
Since we talked a little bit about events, let's talk more about that. What are the best alternatives to face-to-face networking and other events?
I think it boils down to understanding that LinkedIn has not changed the way we behave as humans. And social media in general has not really changed the way we are wired. Mm-hmm. And we are wired, there was an episode you released explaining what a livecast is. And I think it was you, Toby, that mentioned vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And it makes us, afraid because we've spent maybe half our life trying to appear professional and everything, and just not knowing whether our dog will bark or the UPS guy will knock on the door is frightening. Mm-hmm. But like you said, people forgive you if they understand that you're human and that you're genuine, and we no longer have to appear, like a Marvel or DC character. We can be ourselves, and that's actually one of the best ways to attract clients is to be ourselves. If they don't like it, we may not be interested in working with them. But if I understand how you work, then the time I reach out to you, I would feel that I've already almost know you. We've never spoken before, but I heard your voice, and I consumed a lot of content that you produced, and now I trust you enough to reach out to you and say, help me create that podcast or build a better concept for the live stream I'm thinking about.
And it's the advice that we give to our clients. 3 weeks ago, Shelley and I signed up for a networking event that was taking place at a local restaurant, and it turned out to be in the corner of the restaurant. We were so, I don't know, ready for human face-to-face contact
Mhm.
that we went, and I think we stayed there for 10 minutes before we realized this
Oh.
was going to turn into a super spreader event. Like, we don't want to be here. And we tell people, you know, there is nothing wrong with saying, can we meet you on Zoom? Can we send you an invitation to a meeting? And more of our, not only our clients, but our prospects are finding that very acceptable. Nobody says anymore, oh, I don't have the equipment, or I don't know how to sign on, or I don't know how to use it. I think that's become an important part of being able to do business with people, and not all live networking events are necessary. Plus, it provides you as an individual the opportunity to construct your own networking events, even though everybody's calling in from their respective laptops. So one of the questions, and it's sometimes said jokingly, but other times said seriously, we get from our clients is, how do I go viral? Because viral is the new way of getting media attention. And we don't always agree that going viral is a good thing, but I think what they're trying to ask is, how does the media, whether it's print or digital publications, what do I have to do to get their attention? What would you tell them?
It's a powerful question, and I think people are obsessed with trying to engineer a viral thing, and but we'll put it aside, and I'll try to relate to what you said. If we are pitching someone who gets dozens or hundreds of pitches a day, an influencer, then my piece of advice would be to customize it as much as we can. And there's someone said, I didn't have the time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long letter. Our job, like 90% of our job, is to edit what we wanted. And if I may suggest a simple idea, use video. Like tools like Loom, or they don't have to be expensive. There's even a free version that enables you to have maybe 20 to 25 videos. Shooting a 30-second video is likelier to get a response because it makes it more intriguing, and we could relate to what you're saying there. But try to make us understand that this video was uniquely created when you research us, when you research that influencer. So you need to make them think, how does that person know so much about us, so much about my company, or so much about me? And try to have a call to action that's easy. Okay, don't ask them something that you can Google. Don't ask them to pick up their brains for 10 hours. Try to make it as easy for them to reply. If you get a reply, you're in a good place. And try to nurture that relationship. Don't try to go transactional, because we smell it a mile away.
That's very true. I do want to mention, since Daniel mentioned Loom, I'm getting promotions for another tool called Vouch. And Vouch is interesting because it's not you producing the 30 to 60-second video. It's you asking your clients to produce a 30 to 60-second video to help promote your business, that you then put on the Vouch website and use that link as a way of promoting your business. So you're getting it from the quote, horse's mouth, unquote. So I thought it was a good idea. I haven't checked deeply into it, but I thought it was an interesting value proposition. Shelley, back to you.
I call that UGC, user-generated content.
User-generated content, best kind of content.
Add to your social proof with UGC. So let's talk about automation. What marketing functions can we automate, and how do we do that?
Okay, if you allow me to, I'll only speak about LinkedIn for a second. I don't advise our listeners to use any LinkedIn automation at all, for a number of reasons. When you're a solopreneur, or when you're a 40-plus entrepreneur, using automation makes no sense, because automation is frowned upon by LinkedIn. and LinkedIn will crack down and might restrict your account. By restricting your account, I mean you will no longer be able to perform the actions you'd like to do on LinkedIn, and you might get hurt because you try to save 10 minutes, and now you have hours to invest in order to get what you had last week. You have a real life network. It may be only around Albuquerque. It may be only around your metro area, but you've worked with hundreds of people. You may have served thousands of people. Now, not all of these people are on LinkedIn, but some of them are. Start with the basic playground or the basic place where you could relate to them as a person. And one quick piece of advice in terms of your connection strategy, pick quality and not quantity. If you pick quality and you may connect with 48 people, but you know all of them well, whenever you run a search on LinkedIn and you find that ideal prospect and you see the mutual connection of yours, and you know who that person is, it's very powerful because you can reach out to them. There is life outside of LinkedIn. Leave LinkedIn, reach out to that person, ask how they've been, and then ask, I would like to be in touch with John Doe, and I see that you two are connected. Do you feel comfortable enough to make an introduction? Do you know that person well enough? And you can only do that if you really know your network. Maybe down the road, you'll decide to go to the quality aspect of it, to the quantity aspect of it, I'm sorry. But start with quality and then make up your mind.
So before I turn this back over to Shelley, I do have a question. I get a lot of requests from people on LinkedIn. I shouldn't say a lot. I get requests from people on LinkedIn who I don't know.
Yep.
Right? How do I judge whether or not to agree to engage with them? Right? My first reaction is, I don't know you, right? And I don't respond. What do you recommend when it comes to this kind of, when people see those situations that they're getting queries from other individuals, they may not know them, but how do they judge whether or not it's a good decision to incorporate them into their LinkedIn network?
Excellent. So I'll make two quick suggestions. One is to simply visit their profiles. And in some cases, you will either decide that it's not relevant for you at all, or decide it's intriguing. And if I may suggest another way to do this is when you go to My Network on desktop, you'll see the incoming invitations, and look at this person here, Varun. What I could do is click on See All on the top right, and the word message would appear whenever someone sends you an invitation.
Hang on, let me share that screen.
Thank you.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Cool. So the second in the top navigation bar, the second from S says My Network. And when you click on See All, it would say CL3 or CL16, doesn't matter. The word message appears. Now, what could you do? You could simply message these people without accepting their invitation. In other words, thank you very much for the invitation. I don't remember working with you. Have we met? Is there any way I could be of service to you? Thank you very much, Tony, Toby, Shelley, livecast.live. That's it. If that was an automated mechanism, you'll get crickets.
Right.
But if that person actually wanted to work with you, then they would simply reply. And then you may actually have a meaningful conversation with them. So one thing you could do is treat incoming invitation as opportunities and only act when it's intriguing enough for you to spend 30 seconds and email that person or message them on LinkedIn prior to you accepting their invitation.
I will take advantage of that recommendation today because I have several of them that I really didn't know what to do with. So What's one of the things that we get from clients is, I need more leads. How can I use what we do with you to create more leads? What would you recommend to an individual to generate more leads for their business?
Cool. It's an excellent question. I think when you, one of the things I liked about what is a live cast and why should I do it, a video, the way you describe both content and campaigns. And I'd like to be a little bit granular and speak about content in the context of LinkedIn. Content should not only be shared with your connections. There is a way for you to produce content that's relevant for your audience and join LinkedIn groups. And instead of harassing your own connections, who may not be your ideal prospects, find fish where the fish are and go to these groups and share your educational content there. And you may be discovered by 10,000 people you're never going to be connected with simply based on the content you have. And in that video I mentioned, you have an excellent flowchart with amazing way to repurpose that content. So I don't think you need to create content for the sake of LinkedIn, but if you do create content, then sharing it on LinkedIn makes a lot of sense. And that's one way to get leads. The second quick way is to run a search if you know who your ideal prospect is, and focus on what LinkedIn will show you as second-degree contacts. If you connected with people you knew well, that means you would be able to reach out to someone who will make the introduction. That makes sense if the service you offer is expensive and not a commodity. Because it's worthwhile exploring only if what you sell, what you'd like to offer is interesting enough for you to spend that time and reach out to that person. But it's an excellent way to use your leverage your real life network. And I believe referrals are what brings me 90% of my clients. And before reaching out to people you don't know, you need to start with your own backyard. People who've worked with you, people who appreciate you, and people who could refer other clients to you. Bob Berg wrote a number of books about it. Endless Referrals is just one of them. I can show you the ones I have on Kindle, but referrals in the long term, to me, is the best way to get long-lasting relationships with clients. Referrals tend to be less price sensitive. They tend to stay with you longer, and they could end up referring people to you if you serve them well.
Very nice. Shelley.
All right. In your experience, what works best for converting suspects into prospects and then into clients? So we're talking conversion.
I like the suspects term here. I'll suggest a simple 3-step methodology. Question number 1, who's your ideal client? Your ideal client could be someone interested in publishing a book or launching their podcast or starting live streaming. The second question is, what if you were able to attract those people to your own LinkedIn profile? What action would you like those people to perform after they visit your profile? And if you'd like them to reach out to you, then have you provided them with information that is likely to make them convert? And the truth about it is that in many cases, you have that information outside of LinkedIn. So just taking content that you have and repurposing on your LinkedIn profile, maybe it will take you 15 minutes, but it could go a long, long way. Your profile should speak for itself, and your profile needs to convert. Another misconception some of our listeners may have is that they need to have a LinkedIn page, like a company page. They don't. When their live stream business becomes a Fortune 500 company, then it may make sense to use the page. But if they're solopreneurs or they have a staff of 15 people, their individual profiles are likelier to have more connections than their page will ever have.
So just to reinforce what you just said, I want to make sure our listeners understand this. LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile can be engineered in a very simple way so that it turns into a tool for not only producing leads or suspects to prospects, but it can convert for you if you've built it in the right way. Is that correct?
That's even better engineered than the way that I said it. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Shelley?
All right. So let's closing arguments right now. We're going to ask you for your most important takeaway, tactic, or piece of advice for small business owners, and then where people can find you. Where's your website? Where are you on LinkedIn, or how can they reach out to you? But let's start with that important takeaway, tactic, or advice that you have.
Thank you very much, Shelley. I may surprise you with the answer because what I say is not related to digital marketing, but I think that the best piece of advice I could give to anyone who considers becoming an entrepreneur after they're 20 or 25 is to have a meaningful conversation with their significant other before crises emerge. And in many cases, a simple conversation would help understand why we're doing this and feel reassured that we'll not have to lose our home because of what we're doing now. Maybe we're spending time about it, but you can buy a Blue Yeti for it's really nothing. And having that trust or that understanding at home is one thing that could help you grow your business for years to come. And jumping to try to do it without making sure that your relationship can overcome obstacles is not a wise idea. And there will be obstacles along the way.
So let's talk a little bit. I'm sorry for doing this. I'm making sure I have your LinkedIn profile here before we go forward. But I want you, if you would, let's share your website. This is where folks can find you. And also, Shelley asked if you had anything that people could take advantage of where you give them, you've created content to give them advice about what they should be doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is the my website. It's danielalfon.com, Daniel and then alfon.com. And one, the most expensive real estate in our profile, the most expensive real estate in terms of text is our headline. And what I created here is a giveaway, a cheat sheet that's simple with a formula about the way you could craft a selling headline. And that headline is the sentence or the couple of words that show up next to your name on LinkedIn. And I found that having a strong headline when people search for you or when people visit your website makes them discover you in a more meaningful way. And instead of having just the title of your company, if the name of the company is not opening the door, then you could build or craft a more intriguing headline. And the limit here is just ourselves and our mind. And if our listeners spend 10 minutes, like reading this would be 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes to craft a more attractive headline, they could double or triple visits to their profiles via search, and that could help them convert in a meaningful way.
Very good advice. So I've posted the link to this page on Daniel's website in the chat room. Please take advantage of that link. And if you go to that page, scroll down, looks like this. scroll down and you'll see that button for a free download. And that's what Daniel is talking about. In addition to that, I'm going to take the link to Daniel's LinkedIn page, profile page, and I'm going to copy that. I'm also going to post that in the chat. If you're on LinkedIn, and you want to learn more about what Daniel is doing to help people take advantage of how they use LinkedIn to build their businesses, connect with Daniel, let him know that you saw him on our program and that you were impressed with what he had to say about using LinkedIn. And maybe you'll be fortunate enough for Daniel to respond to you in a nice way. I'm sure he will. All right. So take advantage of those if you would, please. Shelley?
And those links will also be in the description box and show notes if you are not here with us live. Don't have anything else today for Daniel to answer. He's been very forthcoming with all of that great information. And again, we're going to be transcribing this interview and putting the cogent pieces of information into a book on digital marketing. So look for that coming in the summer of 2022.
You just put a deadline on us. Is that what summer of 2022?
That's right.
All right.
Coming up this summer.
Before we go, Daniel, any last words for our audience or prospective customers?
For you, Shelley and Toby, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to be part of the journey and tell you how significant it is for me. Because if you asked me like 6 months ago, would you be willing to go on a live stream event without having it scripted? I would say, get out of here. So try to do it. It won't be perfect, but you'll get yourself wet. You'll get your feet wet, and you'll do it better the second time. There is no other way to do it than try.
And for those of you that are watching us and Daniel right now, and you've ever thought about getting your feet wet, as Daniel said, in live streaming, and you have something to talk about when it comes to digital marketing, let us know. It's on that page. I've already posted it, and you can see it in the scroll below. And join us as a guest on our show. We always ask the same set of questions for our digital marketing guests, and we allow them to expand upon those questions in the context of their area of expertise, as Daniel did perfectly today. So join us, and as Daniel said, it's a good way to introduce yourself to live streaming. If you need if you need to learn more about it, let us know, and we can help you through that as well. It's not hard. And it gives you the opportunity to be real in front of your prospective audience. And that prospective audience is going to hold some prospective business for you. And that's why we recommend it to everyone. And Shelley's the master of taking this content and the guru of taking this one piece of content and turning it into literally dozens of different pieces of content that are used in a variety of ways. So good advice. Daniel, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to future conversations. And if there's any time you decide to start your own live stream, let us know. We'll be happy to join you on that in that conversation as well.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to learning from other experts in the messages and methods live stream. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Daniel. Oh, and thank you for joining us in your time zone. We really appreciate that as well.
Thank you for
That's the right one there.
Thank you for joining Messages and Methods Livecast Life 2.0 hosted by Shelley Carney and Toby Younis. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question, and we'll consider your ideas for future shows. Share this podcast with your family and friends so they can learn about current digital marketing practices, too. Check the show notes for links and resources, and please come back again next week.